Hi, this is Aaron at ThinkBotLabs.com and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the background. In our last video, we set up our empty game objects that are tagged with a sorting layer script that automatically adds the sub-sprites into the correct sorting layer. So potentially what you could do, go to your tiles and start grabbing tiles and add them into the background. And they'll automatically be tagged with the correct sorting layer. And you can see that it is behind the player level. So there's a couple different ways that you can set up your background. You can use a single sprite and stretch it as big as you can to cover the entire scene. You can drag a bunch of sprites into the scene and arrange them how you want. You can create an infinite runner background where it repeats the image, or what we're going to do today is create a procedurally generated background made of different tiles. So all the tiles on our background are going to be set up on runtime. And let's get started. So let's go ahead and delete this one. And the first thing we need to do is on our background layer or game object, go ahead and create an empty underneath it. And let's call this BG tile, plural. And this is where all the tiles that we're fixing to create are going to be at. So let's go create a script. So let's create a new script. And let's call it background tiles. And we'll go ahead and attach this to the BG tiles. And let's open it up. We don't need anything out of the middle. Alright, so in our background tiles, what do we need? We need an array of prefabs to be our tiles. So I'm just going to comment this out and we'll code it as we go. For the tiles, this is going to be public game object, and it is going to be an array of objects, and we'll call these tiles. We need a start position. Where do we want to start spawning our tiles at? So start position of the tiles. And this is going to be a public vector3 tile start position. Next, we need the spacing of the tile. If we don't know what the spacing of our sprites is, or our tiles are, when we place them down, they could potentially overlap or be too wide apart. So we'll grab that. So that is going to be a vector2 tile spacing. And so the next, we need the width and the height. So so think of these as grid rows and grid columns. So the width is going to be a public int grid width and a public int grid height. So we'll be able to specify in the editor, our scene is going to be 40 tiles wide by 15 tall or 10 wide, whatever we need to set it up for. And that looks like all the variables that we're going to need. So on start, first thing that we need to do is we need to get our tile spacing. So our tile spacing is equal to our tile, and it doesn't matter which one, they're all going to be the same. Get component, render, bounds dot size. So they're going to get the exact size of our tiles, and we're going to store it in the tile spacing. Now we need to loop through our grid width and our grid height. to get the exact number that we need. So we'll create a couple nested loops for int I equals 0. I is less than our grid height, I plus plus. That's just going to increment. And let's go ahead and comment this for you. This is going to be loop the number of row height. And this one, our second one, is going to loop the number of columns wide for int I equals 0. I is less than grid width, I plus plus. And actually, can't do double i's when we update these to j's. Just a different variable name. Okay. So now you can either specify which tile you would like to use in a consecutive order. For us, we're going to simply just grab a random tile and place it out. So between 0 and however many tiles there are. And we're going to say int random tile is equal to random.range. That range is going to be between 0, which is our first one, and the tile.length. So however many game objects, whether it's 2 or 20 or 200, it'll pick a random one within that range. So now we need to actually spawn our tiles. This line may be kind of lengthy, so let me code it out and then I'll comment it after that. So game object with a capital G, go equals instantiate tile, and we'll be picking from our random tile, and then we need to tell it where we need to place it. We'll use a new vector3 tile start position dot x plus j times tile spacing dot x comma tile position dot y plus I times tile spacing dot y. Sure, I've got nothing there. Comma, and then we don't want any rotation on it, so we'll use quaternion dot identity, and then we'll spawn this as a game object. So let me comment this out. Okay, and the last thing we need to do is we need to add all the game objects that we're spawning, all the tiles, as children of the BG tiles game object that we created earlier. So when we do that, they'll be children of the BG tiles, which will help for organization, and they'll be children of the background, which will automatically set them as a background layer. So to do that, we need to do go.transform, which is the game object that we're spawning, dot parent is equal to game object dot find, and we're going to find the BG tiles dot transform, and that's it. So add all the game objects as a child of BG tiles. Alright, let's go ahead and save that off and go back to our scene. And go ahead and select the BG tiles. So let's see what it has. So it's asking for the number of tiles that we're going to use. Let's go ahead and set it as 2. Okay, so now we need two game objects. So go to your tiles, grab a couple of background tiles. 3 and 4 look good. So let's just drag these up, 3 and 4. And we need to turn these into prefabs, so let's create a new folder called prefabs. And let's create a sub one called environment. Okay, and then just drag them into the folder and they'll turn into prefabs. Okay, let's go back to the BG tiles. You can delete these other ones. We don't need those anymore. And we'll drag these in as the elements of the array. So for our tile start position, we're wanting it to start right here on the bottom left-hand corner. So that position is negative 43.96 on the x-axis. Y is 0. So let's go back there, tile start position. We can actually turn this tile start position into a vector 2 because we don't need the z-axis. It's always going to be left or right or up down. It's not going to have any depth to it. And grid width, how wide do we want it? So let's just count. 1, 33 wide. So we'll say 33 wide and let's say 15 high. Alright, so if it's all set up correctly, then when we click play, we should automatically have a background tiled with the tile prefabs that we selected. So let's go ahead and click play. And there we go. Perfect. So now you can see that the background is tiled. It is behind the player. Under the BG tiles, we have all of the tiles created and tagged with the correct sorting layer. And you can see that they are random, 4, 3, 4, 4. And like I said, if you want to, right here, instead of using the random tile, you can create a method to select the next one in the array, or however you'd like to place those tiles. But for us, this is going to work out perfectly. Alright, so that's it for the background, and alright, that's it for the background. Short and sweet. It looks like we're about ready to design our level, so we'll see you in the next video. Till then.